We are going to talk about the QAD TRI today, and I love this rest. I haven't really used it before because I've shot Hoyts with the tech bar. I think the best rest that you can use for torque tuning purposes is the Freak Show QD from AAE because you can get the blade inside that tech bar zone. But if you have just the integrate system and you don't have a tech bar in the way, I would definitely consider this. The main reason why is because you can literally bolt the rest on and not have to adjust it. It's already set up for your center shot, generally speaking, and your rest height. Depending on if you run straight through the middle of the burger holes, it'll be fine. For me, I'm running a 16th low on the Tidal 38. After testing, I found that low with a higher wrist grip is what I'm currently running. So if I was running a flatter grip, I'd probably move it up some. And yeah, it's just like the number one on the rest down. So it's literally a 16th of an inch on the rest low. That's where I initially set it. I moved my torque tune back a ton, as you'll see later in the video, and didn't move the left and right at all. I eyeballed it and it just looks super good, and you'll see how the center shot checked out for it. So let me know if you like this review. Make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel, and comment on anything that you'd like to see in the future. Now let's get to it. Okay, so here is the rest. This is the box it comes in, kind of like a gun case. You can lock it, that's kind of cool. Open this up. So, instructions, that's cool. QAD knife that comes with every rest. Got the rest here. Got the holder right here. This thing, I think it goes here. And you press this on, and it protects your blade. And then to remove it, just pull it off. I've learned with this, you kind of have to pull it up a little bit and make sure it's pushed all the way against this side, and then pull it off in one fell swoop. Let's see what else we got. We got this little gel thing. I mean, heck, you might as well keep that in there. Nah, it's not that important. Looks like we have a parts bag, Allen wrenches to adjust, stops to put inside the burger holes, and then a logo, looks like, and then some sort of torque tuning rod, a couple screws. That's good. Got a couple of blades in here. 8 thou medium blade, and then a, looks like a 12 medium. Comes with all 3 medium sizes, and I actually ordered and stored them back here, some extra blades. So for me personally, for every possible scenario I would shoot in, I'm going to use a narrow 8 and a narrow 10, which looks like this right here. We've got a wide 10 and 12, and that's what the wide looks like. Don't know if I'm going to use this or not for my 27s. It kind of depends. But I elect to use the medium in most applications, except for like really skinny target arrows. Then I'll use the narrow. And cool thing is, we have this size guide here that tells you which one to use. Lizard tongue installation, talking about the whole plate setup there. Vertical adjustment and the horizontal adjustment for the rest. Got some lock screws and then the knobs. And then 7/64 Allen wrench. Very cool. This looks complicated. A lot going on. We got a long and a short bar, screws and washers, and all the parts. Cool. Torque tune adjustment. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to shoot this rest is because of how solid this torque tune adjustment is. It moves from there to there. So you can really fine tune the torque tune with this rest. I really like that. And it's a blade. I do like blades a lot. They're less finicky in my opinion. Dropaways are great. I just prefer less moving parts personally. And let's see what this is. The pitch adjustment. So we have a lock screw, looks like, that same Allen wrench. to change the tilt. And it looks like we have some measurements here for that. And it's set pretty high out of the box. I would not run it this high at all. I would run it like 20, 25, 27, 30, 32 degrees, definitely not 40. So let's go ahead and put this on the bow, see how it goes. Okay, so first things first, you have the riser. I'm going to take these stops and just push them in for aesthetics, and it says QAD. That looks so cool. I like that, and we're going to make sure both line up with the logos because I'm OCD like that. Boom. That looks freaking awesome. Goodbye, burger hole. Hello. Awesome mounting system. So, first things first, you're going to take the large Allen wrench in your kit. You're going to take this big vertical lock off right here. This will be the easiest rest you ever set up. And the same goes with the hunting rest as well when it comes to this block. So we'll take this off. This swivels on the micro adjust screw. We're going to set this aside. And we're going to take the really tiny Allen key. We're going to loosen this 7 turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to put it on the riser. Try to line up everything here as best as I can. Get that clamp opened up with my hand. And then push it this way against this dovetail. And then we're going to line this up with the line in the riser. This little arrow here. Get that height right there. Just as a good starting point. We're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's looking pretty good. 6 and then some. You get it pretty snug, and that's just the micro adjust. What's going to happen is when you have the big lock off, this just holds onto the riser for the micro adjust. You don't want to over tighten the screw. Another reason they have the screw so small. So I would also recommend to use the Allens that come in the package. There we go. Click twice, that's good enough. So now as far as adjusting height, I know that my knocking point on this is on the low side, and holy crap, that is really not where I would want to set that up. Let's move this around. Okay, so very far forward. I'm definitely going to move this back probably halfway, but it's good to know that that's where it ended up. So yeah, what we'll do is to get this set up very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and slide my torque tune adjustment back where I think I will want it. So we're going to loosen the torque tune lock. I think that'll be the second Allen here. Middle size Allen. I'm going to be very careful. Loosen that. Okay, and that just moves freely. It's super simple. You just loosen that screw and then move it. Okay, and then there's a pin. This pin needs to stay against the riser the whole time. I want to move this halfway out where the 5 is. Right in the middle, right in that line. Let's see how it looks for me. Go back a little further, push that rod out. I do not have this little rod locked down, so I'm going to lock that down. I think that's right there. So when you're initially setting it up, it's going to move freely, but once you're ready, just snug it down with the Allen wrench and that'll work just fine. Actually, I want to keep that loose. The reason why is because I think once we tighten down the horizontal, then it's just a backstop. It's nothing of extreme importance right now. We don't want it to hold a bias against the rest where it's pit up like this and the rod's touching the riser. So that's the very last thing we'll touch. So right about here is a good spot, looking at where the blade is. Somewhere in here is where I normally will run it. I usually like to run my stuff pretty far back. So I'm going to tighten this screw. This is my big Allen. Let me find the small one. I'm going to lightly tighten this. Be careful because this is kind of loose. So grab that. That's looking good. Now, I am definitely going to adjust the pitch. I don't want to put that block on just yet. Let's go ahead and get the pitch adjusted with the pitch lock. So, using that 7/64 wrench again, I'm going to loosen this screw. And then all you have to do is move this down with your hands. And it's very solid. It doesn't have a lot of play when you loosen it. That's something I really like. 30 looks good. I'm going to start at 30, maybe a little less, between, just above, just below 30 is where I'm going to end up. So for cam, let's take a look at what that looks like. So that is what 30 looks like right there. So really like that. Let's go ahead and lock it down using that middle Allen key for this adjustment. Now, as far as left and right and up and down, haven't really played with that yet. A lot of people, they're just going to initially set that up, knock their arrow in the bow, and then get their D-loop height. I already have my D-loop on here, and I played with this and moved it lower than the center of the rest holes on this Title 38 for where I like it. So what I'm going to do is put this vertical lock on and just lightly have it loose. Screw that in. I keep it somewhat loose, not fully tightened, just to keep form and shape on the riser, like this. And now we're going to adjust the height based upon my preferred knock height. Knock height is so important. Knock height changes exactly the way the bow aims for you. So like this bow is doing a lot of circles, and I had this pretty big wedge grip on. I moved it down and it just started pointing. If I moved it up, the circles would have gotten way worse. At full draw, my axles were not really in line with each other. The bottom axle was more forward with that heel pressure, so that caused the circle leaf float instead of it pointing. So I moved it down so the bow is more level at full draw in my hand, and it just points. Shoots really well that way. So let's get the height. I'm going to knock this arrow in. Okay, I like that 10,000th blade. That looks really good. We want to see. That looks pretty straight. Honestly, when I take the sag out, it's just barely high. So I'm going to move this down just a little bit. So clockwise, like the clicks on this. So when I raise this, get it level with the rest holes, it's just barely touching. And then when I let go, it sags down. There's a very old video Jesse Broadwater posted about a long time ago, like 2016 maybe, where he was talking about that. And I've done that trick ever since, and it's a really good starting point. I like to start with a high tear, make sure the rest is too low to begin with. And now I'm going to tighten the vertical lock. The tiny lock underneath is snug. You're not going to over tighten that tiny little 1/16 Allen key. What we got here? Oh, that's just an arrow. Okay. We're going to tighten this one though. This is the actual lock of the rest. So it's not going to move when this is tight. Perfect. Now that is the bridge lock. That is solid as a rock. Love that. So left and right, I'm eyeballing this and it looks really freaking good straight out of the box. Now, what I potentially am going to do is I'm looking at the horizontal adjustment here and it is on 0. I don't know if you can see that or not. Now the horizontal lock, very simple. It comes set at 0. And the cool thing about this rest is if everything's at 0, it's usually good. You literally just throw the rest on and you're good. That's the best thing about this rest, other than the bridge lock design and the torque tuning capability. And all of the adjustments are just really fine and not a lot of backlash, if any. So with this and my center shot, I'm probably going to leave it, but I am going to take a tape measure just to see where it ends up. And 13/16 is usually the go-to. And you tell me that looks really good. It's just that one hash mark after 3/4. It's exactly what we want as a starting point. And I really don't think it's going to change. I eyeballed it down the string. It looks really freaking in line. So the back of the arrow with the point and the center of the rest, somewhat center of the grip, everything's just in line, and I think that'll be a good starting point. So not going to adjust that. So one last thing I like to do is make sure everything's tight. So we have these. Wow, that was not tight. So I like to go beyond snug on some things, and I am somewhat notorious for breaking screws, but it's very important to have things tight and to check every little screw. So these, I will tighten those up. That looks good. That is tight. We can double check that. Yeah, that's super tight. Our horizontal adjustment is down here. I'm going to use a smaller Allen key. I do believe, I could be wrong on that. Nope, we were right. Yeah, that was like 1/8 of a turn. That was a really good idea. And then all of our other locks, we'll double check those. Again, so the torque tuning lock, that's good. The pitch lock. Cool thing is when you tighten this pitch lock, the pitch doesn't change as you tighten it. It stays the same. That's very important. So the torque tuning slider, we should probably get that butted up against the riser at a minimum. Be very good. Now, one of the reasons people like blades is so you can swap out the rests. And with this system, if you use this correctly, all you got to do is butt that thing against the back of the riser, tighten this down with this 1/16 Allen key, the TTS lock. Move this around here. All we got to do is tighten this screw down, and we should be good to go. It shouldn't be an issue there. Okay, so if you wanted to slide this rest body off, and let's just say you're shooting your indoor 27s and now you got to shoot skinnies, what I would do is essentially loosen the torque tuning system and pull the whole thing off and put another body on and keep all of this top stuff attached to the riser. That would be the best option. Another option, you could loosen these, but it would still be attached and clamped to this unless you were on this back block. I wouldn't do that. I would just loosen that and use this butting thing against the riser to put it in the same spot every time. So that is awesome. Love the blade. The last thing I'm going to tighten is the blade clamping mechanism. And it uses this little 1/16 Allen key. Get that fully seated. Oh, we have plenty of turning to do there. I like that. So, always check every screw on a rest. A rest's #1 job is to not move. And you have to double check everything. And I don't care what or who put it together, I'm going to make sure that I took responsibility to tighten everything. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, personally, I'm swapping mods. I'm going to get my mods swapped. Going to get my torque tune figured out, do the cam timing with the mod swap, make sure I like my draw length on a blank bell initially, and then we'll paper tune the rest and see how we like the way it tunes. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please make sure to leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. I will be posting more content more frequently. That is my goal for the channel and for all of the viewers. And I really want to make sure that I'm touching on key points that I can potentially help with, whether it's shooting, fitness, products, honest reviews, that sort of thing. I am mostly a target archer. I don't do a lot of hunting at the moment, but would love to see some awesome comments on this video concerning the types of content you want to see. I will see you in the next video.